All deals with approved credit must trade and finance.
Hi, everyone. Kendall Warnock, A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. Spring is here. Summer is fast approaching. With weddings, vacations, and weekend getaways on your mind, do not let car issues prevent you from getting where you need to be. Car problems shouldn't be something that you put up with. Let us get you back on the road in comfort and safety. We diagnose all makes and models from Porsches to Hondas, Toyotas, and Chevrolets. We fix a variety of issues with all of them with our talented techs and our experienced staff. A1 Automotive at 11th and L, downtown Lincoln, always honest answers.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Hope is only a conversation away when you choose to share your talent, time, and heart with a child. Together, you can build a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future, 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
At Southeast Community College, community is our middle name. Our continuing education classes offer personal interest, traffic safety and licensing, online learning, and adult education classes across Southeast Nebraska or online in your own home. Learn to ride a motorcycle, how to start a small business, how to dance, or take a course to advance in your current career path. See the full schedule of continuing education classes online at southeast.edu/continuing. SCC, your path to possible.
Alcohol has strained our relationship. Drinking too much can cause harm to friends, family members, and loved ones. By drinking less, we will save our relationship. If you or a loved one is looking for help, find a treatment facility near you at findtreatment.gov. For immediate support, call, text, or chat 988.
Brought to you by Nebraska DHHS in partnership with SAMHSA.
This is the Happy Hour.
You guys going to happy hour?
Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America.
Yeah, I'll come for a couple.
Here are your hosts, Nick Sainert.
I am a huge guy.
And Enrique Alvarez Clary.
C is for chunk.
Brought to you by Empire Fence and Netting on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome in. Happy Wednesday. This is the Happy Hour, 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. Nick Sainert, Rico with you. Also joined by Austin Norman. Hello, Rico.
Yeller.
How's the day?
Fantastic.
Beautiful today.
Because first off, it's beautiful weather outside. Second, yesterday, a massive trade happened in the NBA.
Should we talk about this to start?
We don't have to. I just want to mention.
Give Rico his
5 minutes.
Give Rico his 5 minutes.
I just want to mention that the Nova Knicks are complete, almost. Ryan Arcidiacono is not a part of the team, which makes everyone sad.
It does make it sad.
Nobody cares.
I think is he still with the Bulls, or is he done?
I think he's a free agent.
Okay, because he used to be with the Chicago Bulls.
I think he got traded and then just released.
He's with the Windy City Bulls.
Oh, G League
is
G League with the Bulls.
Shout out to Arcidiacono. The Nova Knicks are completed as the Knicks finished a trade for Mikal Bridges.
Yeah,
to join New York and his good friends Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, and Dante the Big Ragu DiVincenzo.
Does it feel like a big package, or did it feel service like appropriate? 4 unprotected first rounders?
It does. They have 5 first-round picks in the next 5 drafts, so it didn't really matter.
It feels big just because you have to take it in the context of Caruso going for the price of Josh Giddey.
That's right.
Mikal has been a little bit better than Caruso throughout their careers. He's shown he can do a little more with the ball in his hands, but he wasn't worth that much more than Caruso. So either the Bulls were ridiculous and got fleeced, or the Knicks were willing to give up whatever it took to reunite as much of the Nova core as they possibly could. But I'm going to credit Houston for getting involved in this as well.
Yeah,
so a lot of those picks are the Rockets.
Yeah.
And they want to make a big swing, or they want to be in control of their own assets, right? They had to give up a lot to Brooklyn in order to, with the James Harden, everything going on there. So Houston's out of picks. Phoenix is out of picks. Those teams want their picks back. And the way they facilitate that is by getting the ball moving with Brooklyn and New York and these picks going back and forth. So it's going to be really interesting to watch this behind the scenes maneuvering that won't pay off, for anyone outside of the Knicks next season. But, come the 2025 offseason, the Cooper Flag draft, in a couple of years after that, we'll really see the dividends of this trade for the other teams involved.
Brooklyn is going all in on Cooper Flagg next year. They're just giving away assets
As they
and
should.
collecting assets, getting ready to take Cooper Flagg #1 next
Ready
year.
to go?
You ready to be a Brooklyn fan?
Hey, Derek Whitehead's already there, so sign me up.
There you go. You'll be good to go. But New York is prepared. And also, I feel like it's a Tom Thibodeau move because Mikal Bridges has played all 82 like the last 3 seasons.
Yeah.
So Tibbs is just licking his chops like, yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to play this guy every single game, every single minute. Him and Josh Hart.
Nonstop.
Nonstop. Never come off the court. That's what's going to happen there. But it's
still just to lose in the quarterfinals.
That's not going to
Pretty
happen.
much.
Nope.
That's crazy.
Championship, baby. NBA champions. That's what's going to happen. But
Does Mikal Bridges really do that for you?
yes, as long as everybody else is healthy.
That's
If
a big caveat.
If Julius Randle
I don't
is
know.
healthy,
See, that's the thing is, does that move the needle for you?
You have to think about it in the context of the Eastern Conference first of all.
Yes.
The Knicks would have been Boston's best competition, except that everyone died.
Mhm.
I don't know if New York's going to be able to play 5 out the way Boston did, especially if they bring Hartenstein back. So you didn't really solve the Porzingis problem necessarily. This doesn't solve the Giannis problem. It doesn't solve the Embiid problem. Knicks found ways around those right now. So, I mean, New York's going to be a top half home court advantage first round team at the very least, but they got to get better shooting the ball, shoot more, and shoot better from long range.
that's what Mikal Bridges is for.
But he's not going to create a lot in his own, right? I think they need another guy to come off the bench behind Brunson, who's going to play a lot of minutes, but they need a kind of secondary creator off the bench that isn't going to score a lot, but can dish the ball to Bridges and spot up situations.
Wow, I'm so glad you said that because there are rumors. Kyle Lowry.
Does that move
No,
the needle?
it
No.
does not. It does not at all, but it's funny.
That's
Kyle,
wild.
it was Kyle Lowry, and then there was another older point guard who you don't look at as a scorer, more of a facilitator. I don't remember who it
Did
was.
he go to Nova?
No.
Oh, that doesn't matter.
No other Novas. But it's kind of funny, and it's very interesting to see what the Knicks are moving towards and how this next NBA season is going to play out with the Nova Knicks. Their new jerseys are just going to be Villanova jerseys.
So there you have
Anyways,
it.
that's my
There's the
NBA,
NBA
corner,
corner.
and now we're off
All right, we're off. We bring in Austin for college baseball
for one reason.
for one reason. Our group chat yesterday afternoon before the news broke was firing on all cylinders.
It was fun.
Here we are, just less than 48 hours after the national championship game. Jim Schlossnagle gets introduced as Texas's coach. With that, a couple of Texas A&M players have entered the portal. Notable names in terms of third baseman Gavin Grahovic, star outfielder Jace Lavalette, and then also Texas A&M's Caden Kent have all entered the transfer portal. This comes a day after Jace Lavalette tweeted out about how proud he was to be a member of Texas A&M and that this is where he wanted to be and that let's go get it done next year. Deletes that post, enters the portal, and you can only imagine where. So
Hey guys, just kidding. My bad.
Jim Schlossnagle also today was part of a 56-minute press conference, introductory press conference, to where the chairman of the Board of Regents talked. You can remember how that was also at Nebraska's athletic director introductory press conference. The chairman of the Board of Regents had a conversation or spoke for a couple minutes. The president of Texas and then the athletic director, Chris Del Conte, all spoke. And on top of that, Jim Schlossnagle's his opening statement was all concluded within about 22 minutes. So that gives you an idea of the 30 plus minute Q&A session that Jim Schlossnagle had to endure. A lot of it was, dude, you just spoke 2 nights ago about how things were great at A&M, how you never wanted to leave another job or for another job. And here you are. Why? They did a good job of hiding the fact that he's best friends with Chris Del Conte. Chris Del Conte hid away in a cemetery while he waited for Jim Schlossnagle to come back to College Station. Ended up then, once he was there, drove from the cemetery to his house, picked him up, and drove him to Austin, Texas.
Would you hide in a cemetery for me, Nick?
No.
Are we picturing Chris Del Conte just like sitting on the bench reading the newspaper, waiting for Jim Schlossnagle to show up, or do we picture him going full vampire mode? Like,
I hope
such
he
an
was just hanging
elaborate
in his
setup.
car. I hope he was just hanging in his car, like watching Netflix.
I honestly, I hope that this is weird. I hope that he just picked a random grave and just like
no,
stood by it.
Rico, that's too far. No way.
He's hiding in the cemetery. You got to make it look like you're there, right? You're visiting somebody. I don't know.
So Jim Schlossnagle, though,
He's hiding behind a tree in the dark with a black trench coat on. All you can see is his eyes.
They did not do a good job of hiding the fact that they're all best friends.
Right.
And Jim Schlossnagle admitted that throughout the season they had talked. And this was the quote. This comes from a Houston Chronicle writer. It says, Jim Schlossnagle says that he had no communication about the Texas job during the Aggie season. However, he did mention that he spoke with Chris Del Conte about everyday friend conversations.
Hello,
and that
friend,
was
who is the athletic director at a school that I wish I was coaching at. How are you?
Because that's the thing is Schloss wanted this job back in 2015.
Hello, friend.
Didn't get it. They ended up going with David Pierce. Did not get the job in 2015. Ends up staying at TCU for a couple more seasons, then gets A&M's job, and ultimately we know how everything played out. But nonetheless, Schloss now gets the job at A&M. He apologized to the reporter, Richard Zane, for how he responded to the question.
I'm sorry I called you out for being right.
I also didn't appreciate one thing about Jim Schlossnagle, because this is making Schloss look really bad. And one thing I did not appreciate was he admits, like, listen, I didn't have time to say goodbye to the team. I didn't have time. NCAA rules don't let me call them. Like, if they haven't exhausted eligibility, then I can't call them and be like, hey, this is what's going to happen or whatever. And so my response to that naturally is, you had a plane ride and a private bus ride to stand up and have a conversation and address the entire team. And chose not to.
You also, and I understand it was right after you lost the national championship, but had discussions on the field, in the dugout, in the locker room, after the presser.
Yeah.
On, like you just said, on the bus. You had a ton of opportunities. And also, yes, NCAA rules say that you're not supposed to talk to the players. But first off, you're at Texas A&M. Who really follows NCAA rules? Come on.
He said that even when he went to TCU, he said when he left TCU to A&M, they played at TCU the following season, and that was the first time that he had a conversation with some of the players, was on the field.
Well, there's a player that found out about it because of social media.
Yes. That's what I'm saying. It's just not a good look. And there's so many angles to this that we're going to dive into over the course of the next hour or so, because there's a lot of angles that we want to get to that we kind of like introduced, just kind of an overall view. Once again, like we talk about the investment that certain programs make. I said this earlier on the drive this morning. Think about the investment that Texas just made in baseball as they are about to enter the SEC. They, first of all, fired or mutually agreed to part ways, had to buy out their previous coach, David Pierce, which he was getting paid about 1.2 annually. And then on top of that, they had to pay Texas A&M $3 million to buy out Schloss, and now they're going to pay him $2 million at least annually to coach the University of Texas. The investment, I mean, we're talking, so right there, just in buyouts, probably $4 million at least.
Well, that's one booster.
In buyouts.
That's one booster at Texas.
$4 million in buyouts. Then you're talking about probably a 5-year deal at least for $2 million annually. Let's just put it right there at the baseline.
So there's 10.
There's $14 total million over the next over the next 5 years just to your head coach, not including the top tier of assistants that they had to probably persuade to leave Texas A&M and are going to pay them more. That's not including those guys. That's not including NIL. That's not including facilities. That's not including bonuses that Schloss will probably earn over the course, because we kind of expect this to work because he's done it at far worse places. He brings TCU up from the ashes. He helps Texas A&M reinvigorate life into that fan base in just a few short years. Now you put him in a spot like Texas and you kind of just expect it to work. There's a lot of investment financially here before we even talk about the roster.
It's certainly a sign of the times. I go back to a tweet I saw yesterday. The SEC hadn't won a baseball title before 1989, and then they put the legwork in. Texas has already won titles, and they're doing this legwork. And Texas has been competitive on the national stage before, right? Maybe not as much under David Pierce, but they had a really, really outstanding team. Just 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Ivan Melendez and that crew. So we know that Texas has put resources into it. But if Texas is saying, now this isn't enough, we need to invest more.
Yeah.
That's a sign of what they think awaits them in the SEC in baseball. It tells you what they think about Schlossnagle, because even if it wasn't Chris Delcani as athletic director, I feel like he would have been pursued, given that he wanted the job before, given his ties to Texas. And it's just the price of doing business right now in the SEC, in the College World Series realm. $2 million going to be pretty high for a baseball head coach, but there you go. Texas resets the market.
Yeah, resets the market for sure. Breaking news as 2 more Aggie players have entered the portal in the last 20 minutes. Outfielder Caden Sorrell, he enters the portal, and outfielder Hayden Schott enters the portal. So there you have it.
So that's the top 4 in that lineup.
Yes.
Gone. And the 5th member of that, Braden Montgomery, off of the MLB draft.
Yeah, devastation in Aggie land. Just 2 days, less than 2 days removed from a national championship appearance. I think we're going to talk about potential replacements, and we can go ahead and dive into that right now, Austin. Potential replacements for Jim Schlossnagle at Texas A&M. There's a couple on the list that I know you put in some effort into this. I have a couple of names that I'm interested in, but it all comes down to, frankly, is Trev Alberts able to persuade them?
Right.
Because now within an hour of an introductory press conference, Texas A&M has lost its core.
Not just on the field, but off the field.
Yeah. Completely revamp a staff, which a lot of times with a new coach, you'd like to probably keep bring in your fresh guys.
Coordinator.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. Especially with the kind of guy that we expect Texas A&M to get, you feel like they probably want to be a team and stick with it. I think stability conversation is interesting with Texas A&M, because I wonder, now that Ross Bork is gone and they ushered in Trev Alberts, obviously Jim Schlossnagle leaves, the entire staff leaves, new football coach, a heavy buyout looming over your head. In that regard, we make jokes about stability all the time, and we have those conversations. Texas A&M's in a very interesting spot right now, in regards to major sports. And so, are you able to persuade? Is Trev Alberts, frankly, are the boosters able to persuade? Do they have enough of a foundational relationship with a top tier guy? Because think about what was the main driver in all of this for Jim Schlossnagle, was the foundational relationship between him and Chris, CDC.
Yeah.
And so when you look at this, does Trev Alberts have the ability to form a quick enough and strong enough relationship to sway a top tier head coach to Texas A&M, or are they going to have to overpay so much that it is worth a top tier head coach or an established baseball head coach to take a risk and be willing to revamp your entire roster?
I think there's a couple ways that this could go. Number one is, don't forget, Trev Alberts didn't make the Mike Elko hire.
That's right.
So the fact that that was off his plate for him, I think he dodged a huge bullet.
Yes.
But it doesn't change the fact that there's a lot on his plate trying to help Mike Elko get that up and running, and picking up what I'm sure are plenty of broken pieces from the Jimbo Fisher era, right? Trev at Nebraska did a pretty good job of being around at all sports, of being involved around day to day. And I can only assume that's going to be the case down in College Station as well. But the first order of business nowadays, especially, is football.
Yeah.
So with all the attention you have to pour into football, I think you feel okay about leaving men's basketball alone with Buzz Williams there. You feel okay about women's basketball coming off a tournament appearance. But how much time are you able to spend between football, where Texas is very clearly ahead of A&M right now, and baseball, where Texas just flexed its muscle and said, hey, look at us. We're big brother. There's nothing you can do about it. There's 2 ways this coaching search goes. Number one is Trev Alberts decides, hey, football's more important right now. We're lost in the middle of the SEC. We need to focus on improving that through whatever means necessary. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out. I'm going to pay top dollar for the most established veteran head coach I can possibly get so that I don't have to oversee this program as well. I will not look over his shoulder. I will be around to answer questions, but this coach has to be self-sufficient. Build it in their image. I have to trust them. The other option is Trev Alberts isn't able to go that route, doesn't have enough relationships with boosters or other baseball coaches out there. He has to go down the totem pole, down the list a little bit, because I think there should be plenty of coaches interested in the Texas A&M job on its own standing, with the resources, with the location, with the conference, with the talent base, all of that. Plenty of people should be interested in Texas A&M, except that there's not that stability, except it's a new AD that you might not know, except that boosters are already maybe a little bit on edge with how things are going, with the state of, Texas athletics as it is. It wouldn't shock me if Trev Alberts, takes some of these big swings at these guys, but isn't able to get them because of the lack of relationships. And then A&M fans are mad at him, and baseball suffers, and he's trying to split time between football and baseball, and neither one is able to get off the ground and get running.
I'm fascinated by this. A couple more Aggie players have entered the portal, up to 7 now in the last hour since the introductory press conference. 7 Aggie players have entered the portal in the last hour and a half or so. And it's not necessarily a given that they just automatically end up in Austin with Jim Schlossnagle. A lot of it could just be kind of protecting themselves in an essence, right? To where they want to be able to kind of feel their options out, see who Texas A&M hires. This is a pivotal time. This is a critical time in the baseball offseason that A&M needs to move swiftly. They need to move quick. They need to find a guy, whether, and I don't know, Austin, this is where I guess we can break into a couple of the name and potential replacements, but this is where if you do have to go down lower on the totem pole, does that coach really feel comfortable saying, all right, go ahead and make the step up to Texas A&M, to his players?
Right.
Or if you're able to go get a top tier head coach from another SEC school, then do you feel comfortable with him saying, yep, go ahead and just make it Vanderbilt, go to A&M, just like we're expecting Schloss to do with Texas,
right?
Where Texas A&M's players basically go to Texas and vice versa, wherever it lands.
You said throw Vandy out for a reason?
Huh?
You throw Vandy out for a reason? You think he's on the list?
I do think Tim Corbin's on the list. I think that's one of those big swings, right? An established guy can really steady ships. I think there's something to be said there. Am I also strange for being intrigued by the thought of Kevin O'Sullivan?
I
mean, because here's the thing: Texas is going to have to. Texas A&M is in this conversation of little brother, don't have resources, doesn't have enough investment, doesn't have facilities, doesn't have leadership. This is their opportunity to completely open up the checkbook, blank slate. If they want to pay whoever their next guy is more than Schloss is getting paid at Texas, do it. It's going to take, flex on.
Sure.
Show them that you're not little brother. That's what it's going to take to get a guy like a Kevin O'Sullivan.
But you got to think with a Texas A&M that even if they're little brother to Texas in the baseball world, they're still one of the heavy hitters, one of the big dogs in the baseball realm. So I was going to ask you, Vanderbilt to Texas A&M, lateral moves, step up, what kind of step would that be going from Vanderbilt to Texas A&M on one side, and then two,
it was a down year this year. That's the reason why I bring up
Vandy's got a title, A&M doesn't.
Yeah, down year.
Money's money.
Yeah, two, how quickly does Texas A&M have to make this move in order to potentially keep some of those players and to go into the portal and get players from somewhere else? Because if all of those players leave, like you said, it's not a given that they go to Texas, it's not a given that they end up in Austin, but wherever they go is going to be, whatever, power hitters, however. How quickly does Texas A&M have to, how quickly does Trev Alberts have to move to put someone in place who has enough cachet to keep those guys there? Because if you go lower on the totem pole, who's to say that those guys are like, oh yeah, we'll come back for this guy? Or it's like, no, you brought a guy in, congratulations, that's your head coach, I'm still leaving.
Okay. What stands out to me is the state of college athletics and what's happening in college basketball recently.
Mm-hmm.
Krzyzewski retires, they stay in-house. Roy Williams retires, they stay in-house. Kentucky comes open, right? Arkansas makes that big swing.
Yep.
Where that pre-existing relationship with the Tysons and John Calipari. Kentucky took some swings, right? They talked to Dan Hurley. They talked to Scott Drew. Probably a couple other guys in there as well. They said no. They didn't want to leave their current spot because they felt comfortable enough there. Corbin's interesting because of the down year. O'Sullivan would be maybe the biggest swing Texas could take. But I wonder if we don't overrate the impact of money and comfort sometimes, or we overestimate the impact of money and underestimate comfort, familiarity, building a program in your own image. Because over the last decade plus, Tim Corbin and Vandy baseball are inseparable. Kevin O'Sullivan in Florida over the last 14 years. I mean, that's a Kevin O'Sullivan program at Florida. I think it would be a step back for him to go to Florida to A&M. I really do. Even if the money's better. If there's enough money in Florida, there's enough facilities, resources, plus you already have the history, tradition, continuity built up of your own accord there at Florida. Where the interesting names that I landed on for Texas in my short list, Josh Holiday at Oklahoma State. I know he hasn't, made that dent in the College World Series, but again, success at the highest level, pay to go get him, knows the footprint well enough. Cliff Godwin from East Carolina.
I thought about that
I'm
name
not
too.
sold about it, but they've at least hosted a regional the last couple of years. They've been pretty darn good.
Is that big enough for A&M fans?
It's not, which is why I'm not sold on Trev's ability to pull that off. If he's able to, more power to him. But that's why I go with maybe the biggest swings that I think he could take would be Holiday, Godwin. Bakich probably isn't leaving, but there might be some sort of pre-existing relationship. The only other way I would go, Dallas Baptist has two names. Kiefner, the head coach. You can be big brother to little brother there, or
Cliff.
Their recruiting coordinator, Cliff Pennington, program alum. Now, A&M fans would say, well, he hasn't been a head coach, and well, how'd your alumni, hires at Nebraska do for you, Trev? But Dallas Baptist has been a really good program. It's guys that know the area, that know the program, that have some relationships there. Those are probably the top names on my list as I see it from Trev's perspective. But I'm fascinated to see if A&M's the one that's actually able to pull off one of these, swing for the fences, 5-run home run swings.
I don't want to make this all about Trev. I don't. But
it kind of is.
It kind of is.
The Nebraska angle right now. Yeah.
The Nebraska angle is fascinating because if he can't pull off a hire, you'd expect a call. You expect a little bit of a call to be made. And not to mention, a lot of times with these big ones, these big jobs like this too, a lot of coaches will approach them.
Right.
We hear that all the time there was a lot of interest in this job. We heard that about Nebraska football, frankly, even at that level, right? Where there was a lot of interest, just not a lot of qualified candidates. There will be a lot of people that I'm sure will reach out. But once again, is it somebody that Trev feels comfortable with? Is it an established name that the boosters can get behind? Or do we have a Mark Stoops situation?
Okay, that would be fascinating if we do get Mark Stoops 2.0, which again, Trev wasn't around for.
Yes.
I don't know the best analogy to do this, but you don't want the boosters to run the program, but would it be a sign of goodwill and good faith for Trev to say, boosters, these guys, who can you get?
Yeah.
Make this hire for, right? People, you have connections, you have the checkbooks. You bring them to me instead of me bringing them to you.
So
is that a viable way to run a search? I don't think it is. But given the circumstances, it might almost work out better for him to do it that way.
I feel like that's a dangerous game to play
It is.
down in the state of Texas, especially because those boosters,
if you give them out a cookie.
Exactly. You give them a little bit and they're going to take a lot. And then
but they already did that with Elko, right? So I feel like that cookie's already been handed out.
And then but he didn't
or
make
with
that
Stoops
hire.
and Elko.
Yeah, but he didn't make that hire.
But the boosters were involved. The boosters were involved. So they've already had that taste, and they're going to say it's even easier for us to do this with a new AD that we don't know, that doesn't know us.
See, but there's that. Man. But then does he put his foot down to establish himself?
Can he?
I don't know.
He has to try.
That's the
Does he
part
have
of
that
that
ability?
Yeah, because they made the Elko hire. They decided on Elko instead of Stoops, and now it's a baseball thing where it's like, okay, you haven't really made it. You've made one baseball hire. We don't know if you know the baseball world as well as we do. We're going to take over from here. And then if Trev is like, no, I'm the athletic director. I will handle this. But then if he brings somebody in, even if that person's well established, whatever, but just is missing that one little thing, and the booster's like, nah, then he's going to have a power struggle between your new AD and your boosters, and you don't want that. You want to be on the right side, but you don't want to give them too much.
There's the difference. There you can sense and feel a difference between Trev Albert's position and Chris Del Conte.
Oh, huge difference. Yeah.
Like you can feel the difference. And it's not that Trev is weak or it just in a very disadvantageous position. That's where Trev was. Trev did not like. That's where I this is going to sound like me defending Trev Alberts here. This is not what I'm trying to get at. Folks are mad at Trev because he wasn't able to contain or retain Schloss. He didn't stand a chance.
Not in that situation.
In all reality,
Best friend talk.
look at that, but like no, in all reality, did not stand a chance.
No,
even if he was there for 2 years, it feels like would not have stood a chance. And that tells you more maybe about Chris Del Conte's ability,
Jim Schlossnagle's mindset,
and less about, I think, Trev Alberts as an AD. So that's not me sitting here on 93.7 The Ticket defending Trev Alberts. It's me saying with a realistic approach and thought about this, Trev did not stand a chance to retain. And that says more, I think, about Chris CDC at Texas and about the University of Texas than it says maybe about Trev Alberts and Texas A&M.
He was fighting a wildfire with a squirt gun on that one.
Does the Board of Governors, Regents, whatever it is, in the booster see it the same way?
No, they don't.
They won't.
Exactly.
Even if it's true that Trev was behind the 8 ball the entire time on this, no one else in a position of power down there is going to see it that way.
Nope.
It's we're A&M. We have money. We'll write the check. Keep him around.
And we just made an NCAA or a championship game, and you failed to keep him.
Yep, that's on you, Trev.
Dang. And what a frankly, just putting it honest and transparent, what a crappy position.
It's a lose-lose.
What a crappy position for a relative new AD to be in.
Yeah.
It is. And that's not like, once again, not me feeling bad or anything like that, because everybody knows how the situation happened here in Lincoln and dipped for Texas A&M and College Station and all that. I get it. But what a truly crappy position, knowing you didn't stand a chance. And frankly, you've never needed to make this monumental of a hire when it comes to SEC baseball. Completely different. I think it also, like, you can't compare it to Big Ten football hire, but you certainly can't compare it to Big Ten baseball hire. And you never had to make one of those.
It's closer to a basketball hire.
I agree.
I'd say it's closer
never had
to
to make one.
You didn't do that, right? You made the tough choice.
Yeah.
You know, you had two paths on the fork in the road with Fred Hoiberg, and through 1 year, the choice was rewarded. I want to zoom out another, 10,000 feet. If we're at 30,000 feet, let's go 40,000.
Yeah, let's preview it next segment, because preview what we're talking about.
Texas is to blame. So is Ohio State.
Okay, there it is. Let's talk about that when we come back. 402-464-5685, the Honda of Lincoln hotline and the Starter Heyman text line are both open for you. Huskers P says it is crappy, and I love it for Trader Trev. So that's what it feels like. A lot of Husker fans are in that boat. It feels like a lot of Texas A&M fans are saying, "Hey, do you guys got more room, or is it going to sink?" And
you got more room on the Trev hate train.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. Let's continue breaking this down when we come back. We'll also talk just about Texas A&M fans and like just fan bases in general. What the approach is.
Stages of grief.
Yeah, stages of grief in a fan base. We'll talk about that when it comes to Texas A&M and where they stand currently. We'll get back to that list of names because there's a couple that maybe we left off. And feel free to chime us. 402-464-5685. We'll step aside, come right back on 93.7 The Ticket.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
Without a strong IT partner, your business ends up overspending, underperforming, wearing too many hats, complicating your work, and more. Applied Connective Technologies can help with experts in every facet of technology. If it plugs in, powers on, or charges up, they're your people. Imagine being able to call one team for all your technology solutions rather than a village of vendors and providers. For all your needs in managed IT and cybersecurity, phone systems, physical security, infrastructure, and audio or video, head to appliedconnective.com to better your business today.
If you want to make new floor shopping easier, come to Oak Street Carpet. Hi, I'm Steve Carper. Our flooring professionals can help you choose the best flooring for you, your family, and your budget. We eliminate the confusion. Even better, you'll be enjoying your new flooring much sooner. No 6 or 8 week waits. We'll install right away and save you money on installation. Floor shopping made easy every day at O Street Carpet. O Street Carpet. 1732 O Street. Family owned and operated. Always the best value.
You already know that Select Plumbing takes care of all your plumbing needs, including water heaters, faucet repairs, leaks, drips, sump pumps, and more. Now, they're able to help you with your heating and air conditioning as well. Select Plumbing has recently expanded into residential heating and air, and they're excited to bring this new service to their complete list of plumbing services. Call to book an appointment today at 402-560-6197 or go to selectplumbinginc.com, serving Lincoln, Seward, Milford, and the surrounding areas.
Hey, baseball fans, join the Blur Tailgate at Hilton Omaha this June for our 12th annual hospitality event during the College Baseball Championship Series. Book an experience for your clients or employees with an inclusive bar, buffet, TVs, music, and tailgate games. Secure your spot today and let Blur Events take care of all the work so you can enjoy the day. Plus, we're just steps away from Charles Schwab Field. Visit blurevents.com to book your group, buy tickets, or learn about sponsorships. That's blurevents.com, your college baseball and football tailgate destination.
Have a passion for the outdoors? Nebraska Game & Parks is seeking seasonal teammates. Work in scenic state parks, contribute to vital research projects, and care for our natural spaces. Seasonal staff assist with special events, provide customer service to outdoor enthusiasts, and make a difference for conservation. Join the adventure at outdoornebraska.gov. Apply online today. Paid for by Nebraska Game & Parks. Aired in cooperation with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Old School with DP and J.
Everybody's going to focus on his intensities and antics. I think he would be just fine because Billy Donovan is doing well, right? And he's intense as all get out. But how do you think he would transition to the NBA as a coach? And then also, what does this tell you about the Lakers?
93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. The captain, Vershawn Jackson.
I think the plan is to go bigger at corner. You got to have bigger corners in this league because you got these receivers. You got to deal with Ohio State receivers. And I'm not saying small corners can't get it done, but small corners have to be extraordinary, right? They got to jump higher. They got to do things that bigger corners might not necessarily have to do. So, I mean, losing Ethan Nation, it's kind of a blow, but when you got to get down in scholarships anyway, it's not, man. They got to have their best guys, man.
Alcohol has strained our relationship. Drinking too much can cause harm to friends, family members, and loved ones. By drinking less, we will save our relationship. If you or a loved one is looking for help, find a treatment facility near you at findtreatment.gov. For immediate support, call, text, or chat 988.
Brought to you by Nebraska DHHS in partnership with SAMHSA.
With the Planet Fitness Black Card, you don't just get a great workout, you get a great perk out because your membership is packed with perks. For $1 down and $24.99 a month, you'll get perks like access to any of our 2,400 clean and spacious locations. Bring a friend anytime and both work out with tons of equipment that'll give you that big fitness energy. Relax in the Black Card spa and more. Work out and perk out with the PF Black Card. Join for just $1 down and $24.99 a month.
Hurry, deal ends June 14th. Join now, online or at your local PF club.
See Home Club for details.
You're listening to the Happy Hour with Nick Sainert.
A gorilla bear versus polar bear. A what bear versus a what bear?
And Enrique Alvarez Clary.
A gorilla bear versus a polar bear. Polar bear. One more time. Gorilla versus a polar bear.
Sponsored by Empire Fence and Netting on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back into the Happy Hour 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. I think, gosh, guys, there's just so many layers to this.
Like an onion.
Nick, Rico, Austin with you. There's so many layers. There's so many angles, different ways you can look at this, peel it apart. And none of them make Jim Schlossnagle look like a good person.
I'm not going to push back on that. I'm just going to throw this out here. I'm willing to grant him that he went to A&M with plans to retire.
Yes.
Right. At the time, I'm sure he accepted saying, yep, I'm good. But then your best friend starts talking to you about the job that he's at too. So I'm willing to give him that he actually did want to be in A&M longer than he was.
You ever been at a job that you really thought was the one and your best friend's like, hey, what about over here? Kind of the same job, pretty much the same job, but I have better health insurance than you.
Yeah, what about benefits? Guys, Austin, you previewed it before the break. 40,000 foot view. There's more than just Texas to blame here. There's other folks to blame. Ohio State even.
I think Nebraska fans need to go back to Ohio State, right? If you're going to be mad at Trev Alberts for leaving, say, haha, good for you. We know the depth of Nebraska fan vitriol for Texas, right? We get it. And so Nebraska seeing Texas, run the college baseball world for the last, 24, 48 hours probably doesn't feel good. But how much of this happens if Ted Carter doesn't leave to be president with Gene Smith stepping down, retiring, Ted Carter going to a military school to get their AD, come up to Ohio State, precipitating Trev Alberts leaving Nebraska to go to A&M.
Yeah.
Ohio State and Texas here to blame.
So Troy Dannon would never be at Nebraska.
Nope.
So it's all Gene Smith's fault, huh?
Trev Alberts would still be at Nebraska.
Yep.
People would still have this incredible view of Trev Alberts.
Mm-hmm.
People would still love him.
People forget that.
We would have scraped the bottom of the barrel for content a couple months ago.
People forget that. That when Trev Alberts was still here, he could do no wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And he was the best thing to ever happen in Nebraska.
I love
stability is here.
Every word he used. Every word he used, everybody was like, yes, that's the one. Every sentence.
Gosh, he just has it figured out.
Mm-hmm.
He just has it.
He gets it.
He just understands Nebraska so well.
Look at how well these sports are doing because Trev Alberts is the AD.
But now look how well they're doing.
Everything sucks.
Also, we just don't hear from Troy Dannon. I don't know if you guys have noticed that.
Is that
like we just don't
better?
We just don't hear from him.
Is that better or worse when you don't hear from your AD?
Austin, we were in Stillwater. Nobody would have ever known that he was there.
The weirdest thing was him sitting in the press box right behind us.
Just nobody knows.
Looking over our shoulders. No one.
He probably stared at my computer.
Probably. To answer your question, Rico, I think there's a fine line, right? Because you can over communicate because the more that you put yourself out in front of a microphone, the more likely you are to say something stupid. Exactly. Guess what? I'm a walking representation of that fact. Far too often I open my mouth and say something that I would like to take back. Right? It happens to everyone. Yep. Except maybe you two.
It happened to Jim Schlossnagle.
It sure did. Right. So the more you're in front of a mic, the more likely you are to say something stupid that you'll regret. There's a very fine line between communicating and over communicating.
Yes.
Right. An AD has become a position that is much more public facing now than it was 20 years ago, let alone 30 or 40 years ago.
Who was the AD that fired Bo?
Sean Eichhorst.
Eichhorst fired Bo.
Never heard from Eichhorst.
Right. And he probably under communicated, right? There's a fine line you have to walk. Being a communicator isn't about always talking. It's about finding your message and when that message needs to be delivered.
And you also don't have to do it through talking. You can do it through showing up.
Actions.
Just being there.
And that was one thing that I will say Trev appeased the fan base at the start was because you went from you went from Bill Moose, and then you went to Trev Alberts, who was at women's basketball, men's basketball, softball, baseball, track and field.
Mm-hmm.
He was there, which made everybody feel like, hey, this is great.
And he wasn't like in the box. He was down there with everyone.
Yeah, you felt like you felt like if you really wanted to, you go up to him and say, hey, I'm so and so. Nice to meet you.
Can I buy you a beer?
Yeah. But anyway, so let's talk about the stages of grief for a fan base real quick. Because and this is just a little bit of this is just a little bit of a personal vendetta I have.
I love the stages of grief.
The stages of grief for a fan base. So we know Jim Schlossnagle left TCU after doing so well there. I mean, honestly, he finished first in the Mountain West Conference every single year from 2006 to 2012.
He was baseball's Gary Patterson.
Yes. There was only one season in the Mountain West Conference in 2006, his first year, where he didn't have over 40 wins. He had 39.
Darn.
He made the postseason every single year. He made the College World Series 4 years in a row from 2014 to 2017 with TCU while they were in the Big 12.
TCU beat Texas in a super regional to make it to that final one at Rosenblatt.
That is correct. Yes, back when they were in the Mountain West. And then quickly in 3 seasons, he has 2 trips to the College World Series with Texas A&M. The other was just an NCAA regional berth. And now you have the fan base come out and say, we're going to be better off without Schlossnagle. We're going to have, because the first stage was we're pissed.
Anger.
How dare Jim Schlossnagle leave us for Big Brother Texas? How dare him? How dare Chris Del Conte? How dare Jim saying on the post-game press conference that this is it? Then it's stage 2. Oh, we're better off than without him.
We didn't need him.
We can open up the checkbook now. It's a fresh start. We'll be able to get boosters to be able to open up the checkbooks, whoever they want. It's time. We're better off without him. Guess what? The guy had 135 wins in 3 seasons with you. That is hard to find. Hard to find. 2 College World Series appearances in 3 seasons.
In that
is hard to find. You are not going to be better off without him right now. Not a chance.
In that stage of grief, does that include the he didn't do anything, it was all the players?
Yeah. Great job by the players to stay together throughout this College World Series run. While Jim's mind was currently, obviously on something else.
And it's we can get anybody as long as we have the right players.
Yes.
Okay. The Kubler-Ross 5 stages of grief. Texas A&M did not get denial.
No.
They were playing for the College World Series.
Yes.
When they heard Texas's job come open, and maybe some of them thought, "Hey, we have a good coach." But I bet so few of them had the thought in the back of their minds that it's their coach. So they skipped the denial phase.
Austin, so while you're on that, you go back on Twitter, and I wish we could go back to Monday during the day after Texas had announced, hey, we're officially parting ways with David Pierce. There was folks in the mentions saying, no way it's Schloss. No way. We better watch Vitello. Vitello's the guy.
I feel like Tennessee went through the denial phase. And then they're like, oh.
But Texas A&M was like, no way it's Schloss. The guy is as gig 'em as they come. Not a chance.
Which is a weird thing to say.
And here they are.
So no denial for A&M. The anger we are very clearly experiencing right now.
Yep, still in that one.
Gosh, what a bad word. Yeah, a lot of bad.
The bargaining is the players. No, it was never Jim. It was all about the players.
They don't need him.
The depression will come when there's an underwhelming hire.
Yes.
This is the best we can do. This is our place in college baseball. And finally, acceptance will be, this is just who he is now. This is who we are now.
This is who we are.
This is who we are. Why would we hire this guy? So 2 days later, I mean, it's all right.
We're good. We made it. We're back.
They get 1 recruit. I did see we talked back about the hey, open up the checkbook for whoever. Somebody wanted them to hire Max Weiner, who's the pitching coach, 29 years old. Used to be in the Seattle Mariners organization as kind of a pitching guy. But now is with Texas A&M. They were like, hey, let's hire Max Weiner. Well, then it was announced about 15 minutes after that hey, Max Weiner's going to be Texas's pitching coach. And they just replied, went, never mind. Never mind. No, it's not going to be
now
him.
Max Wiener's
Well, that
gonna wear
entire
a hoodie.
staff is going from College
that's,
Station to
that's
Austin.
the thing is you have an entire staff that just was like, yeah, you know what? We're gonna keep latched on to Jim Schlossnagle because we're gonna get a raise.
I'm just saying, guys, the last time that I remember a coach leaving somewhere after a semi-successful season and taking their entire staff didn't work out too well.
Listen, nonetheless, you have just such a wild situation going on. And frankly, disrespectful. Like Texas was so disrespectful to Texas A&M. They were.
Slap in the face.
We're going to walk through the timeline. We're going to walk through the timeline when we come back. You're listening to the Happy Hour 93.7 The Ticket.
Grandma and Grandpa, Mom and Dad, then the kids, and now the grandkids. Judson Irrigation has provided lawn sprinkler system design, installation, repair, and service to 4 generations. They're just like members of the family. Loyalty, trust, service. It's what you deserve and expect from Judson Irrigation.
Keep summer green. Call Judson Irrigation 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
You can help fight deadly diseases like RSV and influenza while getting paid for your time. Velocity Clinical Research is now seeking clinical trial participants in your area. Participants can receive your time. Velocity Clinical Research is now seeking clinical trial participants in your area. Participants can receive compensation for study-related time. No health insurance is needed to join. Find a study near you at velocitytrials.com. That's velocitytrials.com.
Are you looking to get into the electrical construction industry or wanting a new scene? The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeymen and apprentices and are offering great pay and benefits. Call Mike at 402-875-1034 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
If you're a homeowner or a business owner, you have a lot of projects, and no one has an unlimited budget or time. Sunbelt Rentals makes all jobs less stressful with no need to purchase large equipment or hire a crew. You can do it yourself with rentals and everything from aerators and power rakes for spring yard work to stump grinders, concrete mixers, tile saws, and more. Check out their inventory in Lincoln, north of Cornhusker Highway on 56th Street, or online at sunbeltrentals.com.
Okay, it's time to sell the house. How do we even begin to choose from the hundreds of realtors in town?
Easy. We make a pros list.
You mean a pros and cons list?
No, just a pros list. We need someone with pro photography to showcase the house in the best possible way, pro marketing to make sure we get maximum exposure, pro negotiations so we know we get the best price.
This is one of those times where you already know the right answer, isn't it?
You know it is. Ben Blecker and Professional Realty Group.
Contact Ben Bleicher and the team at Professional Realty Group of Berkshire Hathaway's Home Services Ambassador. Online at prg-ne.com.
With the Planet Fitness Black Card, you don't just get a great workout, you get a great perk out because your membership is packed with perks. For $1 down and $24.99 a month, you'll get perks like access to any of our 2,400 clean and spacious locations. Bring your friend anytime and both work out with tons of equipment that'll give you that big fitness energy. Relax in the Black Card spa and more. Work out and perk out with the PF Black Card. Join for just $1 down and $24.99 a month.
Hurry, deal ends June 14th. Join now, online or at your local PF Club.
See Home Club for details.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and right now they are offering huge, and I mean huge discounts at Koppel. Get over $9,000 off list price or 1.9% financing on select Sierras or Silverados. Plus, Costco members receive another $1,000 off. Yes, that's happening right now in Louisville. $9,000 off list price or 1.9% financing. You pick what works for you. Costco members, please contact us at the store or at koppelcars.com. All deals with approved credit must trade and finance.
Hi, everyone. Kendall Warnock, A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. Spring is here. Summer is fast approaching. With weddings, vacations, and weekend getaways on your mind, do not let car issues prevent you from getting where you need to be. Car problems shouldn't be something that you put up with. Let us get you back on the road in comfort and safety. We diagnose all makes and models from Porsches to Hondas, Toyotas, and Chevrolets. We fix a variety of issues with all of them with our talented techs and our experienced staff. A1 Automotive at 11th and L, downtown Lincoln, always honest answers.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Hope is only a conversation away when you choose to share your talent, time, and heart with a child. Together, you can build a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future, 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
At Southeast Community College, community is our middle name. Our continuing education classes offer personal interest, traffic safety and licensing, online learning, and adult education classes across Southeast Nebraska, or online in your own home. Learn to ride a motorcycle, how to start a small business, how to dance, or take a course to advance in your current career path. See the full schedule of continuing education classes online at southeast.edu/continuing. SCC, your path to possible.
Alcohol has strained our relationship. Drinking too much can cause harm to friends, family members, and loved ones. By drinking less, we will save our relationship. If you or a loved one is looking for help, find a treatment facility near you at findtreatment.gov. For immediate support, call, text, or chat 988.
Brought to you by Nebraska DHHS in partnership with SAMHSA.
You're listening to the Happy Hour with Nick Sainert.
Herbie the Fourth ate his first solid food today, prompting a response of nothing but steaks all week for the Nebraska offensive line.
Then Enrique Alvarez Clary.
No more peaches and carrots for Herbie the Seventh. Baby food be damned.
Sponsored by Empire Fence and Netting on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back in to the Happy Hour, 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. Nick, Rico, and Austin with you. Final thoughts here. Let's talk about timeline, because the disrespect of Texas to do what they did. I mean, it's almost like, I don't want to call it a train wreck and then to like look away, but you don't want to. That's like that's super cliche. My thought is like, it is so disrespectful, but almost to the point of like, you love it. I love
for
it.
someone else. Yeah.
Yeah. For someone else.
It's one of those videos. It's a big hit video that you watch on YouTube where you're just seeing people get wrecked and you're just like, yes, somebody else's pain.
Yeah. I mean, you talk about the timeline, right? Kendall Rogers of D1 Baseball reported that it was done after the Georgia series and before the regional. I also forgot that Texas played in College Station in the Texas A&M regional this year. I forgot about that piece because today in the Jim Schlossnagle press conference, he said something along the lines of like, he was asked about the roster and he's like, what they need to do. And he goes, we got a pretty good look at them when they were in the regional with us, but I'm going to have to reassess and have some conversations with them. And I thought, I completely forgot that Texas was sent there.
Yeah.
And he just knew.
In Louisiana, right next door.
He just knew right away, like, hey, I'm going to be coaching the Longhorns next year.
He was watching the roster and he's just like,
him.
You can't hit that curveball. We're gonna have a conversation about that.
I like him.
We're not wearing those jerseys next year.
But also to the ability to keep it under wraps, right? I think that's
who gets more credit for that? Texas, Schlossnagle, or even Kendall Rogers was sitting on this stuff, right? Do you give the media props for holding off on it at all?
I think Texas, a lot of it, right? As much as it bothers me to give Texas props, I think Texas, in an extent, in some sense, because you talk about the ability to try to like recruit guys, and you're talking about the ability to show off that, hey, look who we have. You had to wait a month to do it. And especially throughout the time of them making the College World Series run, you had to wait. And I think it's tougher, easier said than done, to just hold on that information. So yeah, as a media member, yeah, certainly, right?
How tough was that for Schloss though during like making this run? You keep
obviously not very tough.
You keep winning games and you're just sitting there like, I have another job.
I don't think it was very difficult for him.
See, again, like if you're a baseball player, if you're a baseball guy, you know that you have to be locked in every pitch, right? Obviously, if he was talking to Texas before the end of the series, at least some of his attention was diverted. But I think Jim Schlossnagle did a good enough job at hiding it, at keeping it secret, of putting his focus toward A&M, because you're a competitor, right? You're not just going to sit there, kick your feet up, and not try to win when you're in a College World Series, right? Just on a personal level. So, yes, it's a horrible look. Yes, he didn't handle it well, but I don't think he was, mailing it in on A&M by any stretch.
No, and that's not what I'm saying. It's just a strange situation to be in where you are the head coach of a team that you're not going to be coaching next year. And as soon as you lose 2 games in a row or whatever, in the regional and the super regional and the College World Series, as soon as you lose 2 games in any one of those situations, any one of those 1 to 2 week stretches, that you already have another job lined up. You're already going somewhere else, but you keep winning and you're sticking around these players knowing, hey, I'm not going to be, except for maybe some of the guys that he thought might transfer with him. Hey, I'm not going to be coaching you next year. I'm not going to be wearing this jersey. I'm not going to be wearing this hat, these colors next year. Just to be able to compartmentalize all of that and keep it all under wraps and stay completely focused on the job in front of you. Extremely impressive.
It's personal off the field. It's professional on the field.
Yeah. Once again, Texas A&M players that have entered the portal, star outfielder and probable number 1 overall pick in the 2025 draft, Jace Lavalette, has entered the portal. He initially committed to LSU back when he was 14 years old. So that's a school to watch for Jace Lavalette. Freshman Gavin Grahovic, Caden Kent, Max Coffer, who was their catcher, Jack Bell was an infielder, Carl Schmidt, Justin Vassos, and then Hayden Schott, as well as Caden Sorrell, have all entered the NCAA transfer portal from Texas A&M.
I got a question. So I know we mentioned Will Bolt's name, whatever, but Will Bolt was down at Texas A&M for a while. Rob Childress was just down at Texas A&M last season. Any connections to any of these players? Or is Nebraska's roster full?
So. I think Nebraska's geography and baseball program hurts them for connections for these players.
Right.
Those guys will.
They recruit Texas pretty well.
Those guys will have SEC opportunities. Those guys will have SEC opportunities.
Yeah,
or
but
probably,
the Big Ten just added,
in all honesty, to go back to Texas A&M.
Yeah, but the Big Ten just added USC and UCLA and Oregon.
Watch Oregon's coach. Watch Oregon's coach in this conversation too. We'll see what happens, which would be a big blow to the Big Ten conference. It would be a big blow.
Michael Beckner, you would be a Husker.
Interesting. Elkhorn South guy. All right, Austin, what's coming up on the show today?
Stricky's here. He's joining for segment 1 of the show. We'll talk some NBA with Stricky. Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald to talk about this and more at 2:30. Isaac Trotter, 24/7 Sports, CBS Sports. A lot of Big Ten hoops to get to with him. Jay Foreman in with me for the last segment, then.
There you have it. Wow. All that and more coming up on the block. Stick around. Rico and I will talk to you tomorrow.
Adios.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
Without a strong IT partner, your business ends up overspending